Good morning, small business world. My name is Leland McFarland. I'm with Small Business Trends, and this is the Small Business Spotlight, where we try to shine a spotlight on the news and information that you need to know in order to be able to grow your small business. Um, we also have a couple of Reddit stories at the end that we're going to try to get through, and hopefully have a whole lot of fun. So let's kind of start in on the news. And I'm gonna click here. So we got Intuit, news from Intuit. Intuit aims to add 1 million future accountants in the next 5 years. So in a groundbreaking initiative, Intuit has launched a career pipeline program aiming to train 1 million future accountants over the next 5 years. This program comes in response to increasing demand for skilled accountants and the challenges posed by automation and artificial intelligence. As businesses rely more on digital tools, the role of an accountant is becoming more critical. And yes, I know even from my own experience, it is kind of hard to find an accountant. I've been able to just kind of get myself through QuickBooks with a little bit of YouTube videos, but that to me seems a little dangerous. And being able to find an accountant, and maybe even one that's an affordable when demand is maybe potentially a little bit lower, would be a little bit more advantageous, not only to myself, but to any small business owner. Intuit, known for its popular financial software like QuickBooks and TurboTax, is aware of a talent shortage in the accounting field. Many young people, especially from Generation Z, lack guidance about pursuing careers in accounting. Simone Williams, an executive at Intuit, stresses the importance of upskilling students to meet current and future workplace needs. Working with money, working with anything to do with math can be a little bit taxing, to pun. And it's not necessarily the most glamorous work. And so, yeah, I could see it not being a top pick for a person going into college. But if Intuit's going to go out there and going to try to put in 1 million future accountants out there, hey, I'd say go for it. That's just going to cement them more as a option when it comes to accounting software. So, yeah, I see what they're doing. I see it. Good. I approve. To our next story. Oh, here's the button. US Today and SurveyMonkey did a pretty interesting survey. Workforce study reveals that 24% of employees face struggles or burnout. In a recent survey by SurveyMonkey and USA Today, alarming statistics reveals that 24% of American employees are dealing with struggles or burnout, highlighting a major concern for small business owners. While 75% of workers feel unfulfilled or are just getting by, the 12% who report being either struggling or burnt out face significant challenges that can lower job satisfaction or productivity. This divide is in employee sentiment points out critical need for businesses to prioritize employee well-being when workers receive support, job satisfaction, and workplace morale improvement, leading to better productivity. However, issues like high turnover rates and diminishing engagement can emerge if these struggles are not addressed, especially concerning for small businesses that rely on a stable workforce. This is important when it comes to your employees' mental health, their well-being. It is crucial, it is important to be able to give them the time to be able to decompress that they need, whether that's making sure that they're not overworked on a daily basis, 16-hour days, making sure that they hit obscure deadlines is going to really burn them out quickly. But also, even if they do just have a standard 40-hour week, making sure that they have incentives to being able to hit those goals, making sure that if they do hit their goals, their productivity markers, that they are rewarded correctly, not just like a standard 2% or 3% raise. It's like, oh no, you hit your marks, you hit them good. We're going to bump that up. We're going to give you a better raise or more vacation time. And speaking of vacation time, that is really important. I pretty much for my entire work life career have only gotten maybe about a week or so of vacation. And so, I'd strategically plan it so that it was used within that Christmas season so that I could possibly get myself a nice 2-week vacation or something like that. And, employees just shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to utilize the extremely small amount of vacation time to be able to like pad it out, or even, God forbid, have to use it for doctor's appointments or something like that. Take care of your employees and they will take care of you. All right, next up, where my notes go? All right, BizBuySell came out with their quarterly report. Business sales steady as AI is rising and costs reshape 2026 deal market. So the U.S. market for buying and selling small businesses saw a shift in 2025, moving from uncertainty to a more stable position. A report from BizBuySell highlights this trend, revealing that total businesses sales reached nearly $8 billion, showing a 3% increase compared to 2024. Despite ongoing inflation and higher costs putting pressure on many sectors, some businesses still managed to perform well, with the median sell price slightly raising to $350,000. Throughout the year, transaction volumes fluctuated, seeing a dip early on, but rebounding significantly in the third quarter before slowing down again due to the government shutdown that went on for quite a while, with buyers being cautious and thorough in their evaluation. High-quality businesses continue to attract interest, while others struggle to find buyers. Well, if you're not high quality, well, then you're probably low quality. And yeah, I can kind of see that actually possibly not working out to a sale. A significant change in the buying landscape is the fluctuating private equity firms and corporate refugees, which has intensified competition for strong small businesses. However, many small business owners remain skeptical about selling to private equity due to concerns about culture and stability. Additionally, artificial intelligence is reshaping the buyer behavior, with many seeing AI adoption as a factor to enhance business value. Going back to that private equity, I totally understand. There's lots in the news about private equity companies kind of taking businesses and then trashing them. And one big one would be the fallout with Red Lobster. The private equity firm, they bought Red Lobster and then they separated out the land from the business and made the business then have to lease out to the land. And it was just a big old headache. And unfortunately, it hurt a lot of Red Lobster's value. Then they blamed it on the all-you-can-eat shrimp or something like that. Yeah, not a good look when it comes to, well, I built this small business. Are you just going to kind of turn and burn it? That would be hard as a small business to see your creation just burn to the ground because venture or one of these private equity companies just wanted to make a quick buck off of it. Looking ahead to 2026, market brokers predict strong buyer demand and an overall increase in sellers, especially as baby boomers begin to retire. Overall, small business owners are urged to focus on preparation and adaptability to navigate the evolving market landscape effectively. This was a really interesting story. We have it on Small Business Trends, a full article on their report, I recommend you go to smallbusinesstrends.com. It's on the homepage. Just put out the news release. Go check it out. But yeah, definitely, it's an interesting place to be, and hopefully, maybe we'll get some better interest rates here in the future, and that might even make things a little bit better when it comes to the landscape for buying and selling businesses. Better interest rates, more loans being able to be put out, more options to actually buy businesses. All right, our last news story comes from the NFIB. Small business optimism hits a new record high as economic conditions improve. In a promising development for the economy, small business optimism is on the rise. The NFIB Small Business Optimism Index reached 99.5 in December, rising 0.5 points from November and above the 52-year average of 98. This increase is largely due to declining costs and pressures and optimism about future capital investments. NFIB chief economist Bill Ducklenberg noted that while business owners still worry about taxes, they expect improvements in economic conditions for 2026. The survey indicated that more business owners anticipate better conditions, with expectations up 9 points to 24%. However, taxes are a growing concern, identified by 20% of respondents as their biggest issue. Although inflation remains high and supply chain disruptions affect 64% of small businesses, there is an indication of cautious optimism, as many owners are considering new capital investments. In terms of hiring, 33% of owners have unfulfilled job openings, but finding qualified candidates remains difficult for 91% of those that are hiring. Compensation is rising, with 31% of owners increasing wages, although plans for new jobs have slightly declined, with only 17% planning to hire in the next 3 months. While 56% of owners are investing in improvements, there is a caution regarding future capital expenditures, as only 19% plan to invest in the next 6 months due to uncertainties. As we are now in 2026, small business owners will need to adapt to a complex landscape, balancing growth opportunities, all these challenges. It's all up in the air, but if small business owners are a little bit optimistic, I'm a little bit optimistic too. I would love to see more opportunities for small business owners to be able to get their jobs out there and get them fulfilled. It is kind of sad that many, 33% of job openings remain unfulfilled. That is a big number. And it's hard for small business owners to compete with big corporations when it comes to benefits, 401ks, all that kind of stuff. There are different types of jobs, but I kind of see construction maybe a little bit more on the smaller business, medium business, where you got more white collar. But even if you're a small business owner and you're wanting to attract white collar, it's a big competition to go up against a corporation that's going to be offering better benefits. But it is optimistic to know that there is, silver linings when it comes to these kinds of things. And, we're seeing a little bit better of an economy. It's growing, it's adapting. So yeah, well, it's good to see. All right. Before I get into these Reddit stories, I'll kind of give my own story. So I've been trying to do this more or less I want to do it every Tuesday, this little live stream every Tuesday, every Thursday. I wanted to do it Tuesday. Something came up. I got hit recently with like a massive bill from a company that I do my live streaming through. And I was on the basic plan, lowest tier plan. And then all of a sudden I was on the 2 tiers up. They made the decision. They're like, we think that you need to be 2 tiers up. Now, the difference between the 2 tiers was from $40 to $330. That's what they charged me. And that threw me for a loop. And so I didn't want to do any live streams until I got this figured out. Turns out they made the decision. They're like, we think you're a business. And so if you're a business, you've got to use our business account. You can't use the small account. You have to use the big account. And to me, that makes me not want to use or go with a business if they're just going to automatically upgrade me. Now, they did give me an email. I missed the email. They gave me one email saying, we're going to upgrade you, and it's going to cost a whole lot more. That, to me, just personally, that throws me off when it comes to wanting to work with a company. If they're just going to automatically upgrade me to a $260 more a month account, I don't work with that. And I know that there are businesses out there who have tiered support. So, it's like if they were to sit there and say, hey, you've used more than your allotted time, we have to forcefully upgrade you one stage, not 2 stages, one stage. I could totally understand that. But they did 2 stages, and it was not necessarily because I overused it, the software. I used a feature. Like, usually it's like, if I'm not allowed to use a feature, it's locked out. No, nothing like that. They just said, we think you're a small business. And so you need to use our small business plan. No. If it was, hey, you've used more storage and we've got to upgrade you because, well, you've ran out of storage. Okay, I could kind of understand that. Or you only get 5,000 emails and you're at 5,500, so we got to upgrade you. I totally understand that. But to sit there and say you are a type of business, the total trust gone. And so now I got to look for new streaming software. But yeah, it's watch what's going on in your own business, making sure that companies aren't trying to sneak out little extra charges. Be on the lookout. But then also, if you're a business, don't take these kind of tactics. Don't utilize these kind of tactics, because all it's going to do is chase away customers. All right, so let's get to our first story. So, boss offering to sell me the coffee shop I work for $65,000. Does this sound like a reasonable, on the surface kind of offer? Let's go to a bigger view. So I've worked at a small waffle and coffee shop for about 3 years. I have never seen or heard of a shop that sells waffles and coffee. That's interesting. It's a small operation in a downtown large city. The owner recently offered to sell me the business for $65,000. His reasoning is that he wants to free up capital to put into another business he's scaling. And he feels comfortable passing this one on to me since I've already ran much of the day-to-day. They are hardly there in person at this point, maybe once a month or even once every other month to collect cash. We're located in a small food hall under an office building, so there's a constant supply of customers from there. Not enough to keep our numbers where we want, but it helps make sure that we're never actually dead, I think. We also are located right by the theater district, so whenever there's a ballet show or operas, it guarantees some traffic. The rent is also taken by the food hall as a percentage of our sales, so whenever it's slow, it doesn't hurt so bad. Another factor may be worth considering is that we've partnered with Starbucks, so we buy their products and we can sell them something he already paid the license for. So here's some numbers. Let me move this. Monthly sales usually fall between $5,000 and $7,000 a week. high of 8,000. Average month is 30,000 to 35,000. Busy months can get close to 40,000. Slowest usually in around January and around 25,000, I'm guessing. He claims that the business nets around 30 to 40,000 a month in profit. On the surface, does 65,000 asking price sound reasonable given for these numbers? What specific documents should I be asking for even before considering this seriously? What questions should I be asking? What are the common things? No rush. I'm not rushing into this. So this is a very interesting buy. I mean, I recently bought Small Business Trends from Anita Campbell, so that's why I'm here. And yeah, that seems like a pretty good deal. I mean, that's a pretty good profit market that you're able to utilize. And he goes into saying that there are some ways to be able to save money. So maybe you could actually get a bit of a higher profit as long as you're able to consistently see that you're able, that you could potentially make a good profit off of it. It looks like it would be a good way to be able to step into becoming a small business owner. The big issue that I would say is like, where are you getting the 65,000 from? That would be the hard point when it came to this. Is he going to be able to carry the loan for you? Or are you going to have to go to a bank? I know that most banks, you have to put 25% down. So even though you're going to be, it's a $65,000 loan, you're going to probably have to come up with 17, rough ballpark, 17,000 of your own money to be able to kind of put down onto the loan so that you're able to get it. That would be the biggest factor that I would say, but looks like a pretty good deal. What do you guys think? Let me know. All right. Should I start a floor care business? This one's kind of fun. All right. First post here, I was recently given these equipment from an older friend who retired and used to own a floor care business. I have never started a business or used any of these machines. Brand new to the industry. Okay. I figured I could learn to use them, but I'm not sure what difference is between these machines to even begin. Is there any advice you guys can provide? I would like to start a business as a side hustle and possibly do a couple of jobs in the evening/weekend and slowly build it up to something that I can use to cover my living expenses. I don't seem to be able to post images here, so they give a link to a bunch of the images on Google, and they're old equipment. It's some pretty old equipment, but probably still usable. But I like what this commenter said. No, don't do this. You're talking about refinishing hardwood floors. If that line of work interests you, go and work for a company doing hardwood floors and probably trim carpentry. Learn the job, then learn their business management, then get a bankroll and insurance, then start a company. I like that. I agree. Just diving in head first, you're going to bang up someone's floors and most likely result in you being in small claims court, having to pay an actual company to fix your mess. There are tons of different parts of a good business: client, staff, management, systems, lead generation, estimating, contract, equipment, and then usually doing the actual job. You have a small part of the equipment, and that's about it. You need a bunch of other tools as well as everything else that he just listed, and then you'd need to practice staining for a while because there's a bit of an art into it. I love this. Don't just go into a business just because you got the equipment. I mean, hey, he goes on to say, sell the stuff on Facebook Marketplace, make a couple of bucks. But yeah, if you're wanting to get into an industry, learn from a master, learn everything that you need to know, maybe take some classes on how to actually do a business first, And then from there, start your own business, start buying the tools little by little, make them your tools, and then doing some side jobs on the side, doing some side jobs, building a client base, building a reputation, building a portfolio. And then after you've built everything up, then you can start your business. But if you don't know the skills, yeah, you're just gonna end up in court because you messed up someone's floors. All right, lost our biggest customer. I'm so frustrated. This one's from Pristine Macaroon 80 or 40. I own a commercial cleaning company. We got a big cleaning job on a 15-building apartment complex twice a week. I made this contract the focal point of my life. After a very cool and open start to the contract, the office manager suddenly went real cold. After 4 weeks of no feedback, we have many channels in place. She abruptly canceled the contract on a 24-hour notice. I'm a little shaking. I'm like shaking with anger because we have busted our butts and complied with every little bit of feedback. Like, if our communication history was shown in a court of public opinion, I genuinely feel our team would obviously be sided with. If anyone is willing to read through the whole situation, I have it typed out. I'm guessing I'm just disappointed. I was gearing up to go full-time into business before this. Welcome to entrepreneurship, I guess. Yep, that's business. Unfortunately, tying yourself to just one customer is never really a good thing. Always be looking to expanding, always be looking for that next customer, because you never know if your biggest customer is just going to be gone one day. And it could be a simple situation of, well, the office manager's nephew wanted to do it. That's it. I mean, it's cold, yes, to be like, oh man, it got taken away from me, but that's business, unfortunately. Do the best that you can. Continue to find more work, more customers, and never rely on that one single source of income, because if it's gone, it's a rug pull. It's done. You're done. All right. Final one, I believe. Freelance consultants, can I ask you about tracking billables? This comes from Apartment Charming 883. Hi, everyone. I'm researching how solo consultants handle billing and time tracking, specifically trying to understand how much billable work gets forgotten in the chaos of juggling multiple clients. If you're a freelance consultant, any industry, management, legal, accounting, marketing, billing $100 an hour and managing multiple clients, I'd love to pick your brain. I'm genuinely just trying to understand the problem before building something, not selling anything. I'll keep it focused. So I would say just find a simple time tracking software. You can, write down, you can go based off of your calendar. But in the end, making sure that right there on your computer screen, it's right there and you have your multiple clients and you just click and say start. Click here, start. That's going to be the best way to kind of utilize time tracking, and it will get down to the minute, it'll get down to the second. And then usually they have little elements to say, this is what you're working on. That way you can give kind of an itemized list of, well, this is what I was working on at this point. This is what I was working on this point. And then you can usually just throw this into your invoicing software and then be able to go from there. That's really the best thing that I can do. It's just time tracking software for the win. I've done it manually and it is a pain in the butt. I wish I had when I was back in the day of tracking my hours, I wish I had a really good time tracking software. It would have been it would have been heaven. I would have loved it. All right. Well, that is our show for today. That is what I got. And hey, if you got some questions, some interesting situations that have happened in your business, feel free to put them in the comment section, and maybe in the future I will add it into the show. Anyways, it was great being with you and sharing this time with you. You guys have a great weekend.